Hello everyone, bringing you a video today talking about the British Army Haversack Ration. Now this is something I covered very briefly in a previous video I've uploaded looking at the march around the Derwent Valley with some friends, including members of the Dukes at War reenactment group. And my lunch I took with me that day was made to the British Army Haversack Ration specification. And as I say, I took a very brief look at it in that video. The idea of this video is to take a look at it in more detail, including typed up copies of the original documentation to give you some ideas for the contents. And this is very kindly, this is based on research which has very kindly been provided by my friend Ramsey, who you'll have seen in previous videos covering British Army rations. There's one on the 48-hour ration, the mess tin ration. There's a video covering the contents of that and talking about compote tea and so forth. And we try some of the items from that ration. And there's another one covering the 24-hour ration, again, looking at some of the contents, trying the meat block from that and so forth. So they may be of interest, and I've put links to both of those up in the corner of the video there, should you wish to go and have a look at those. The Haversack ration, by contrast, is a much simpler ration in that it uses fresh ingredients. It doesn't use the tinned and otherwise preserved items of those two rations I've just mentioned. And it forms a subset of the Home Service Ration Scale. Now, the Home Service Ration Scale was introduced around May 1940, and it basically standardised, it moved away from the previous system where units had been ordering their own food, and standardised based on the head count of a unit and a set list of items, what would be issued out in terms of rations. And as I say, the Haversack ration is a subset of that. The purpose of the Haversack ration is essentially to provide a packed lunch for 1 or 2 meals. And as I say, it uses fresh ingredients to make sandwiches, provide pastry items, potentially fruit and other items depending on what's in season at the time, which is something we'll get into in the video. The instructions do specify certain items being included when they're in season. And as I say, it can be set up for 1 or 2 meals. It can be set up to cover 1 or 2 meals, and it would be used for troops in transit, that sort of thing, perhaps out on a route march or something of that nature. So the first thing we'll look at is the specification for the ration. Then we'll take a look at the ration as I've recreated it for 1 meal, talk about some more sandwich filling options, and then we'll take a look at it set up for providing 2 meals. So as you can see here, there are 4 groups of different foodstuffs which can be included in the ration. Group A with a meat pie, sausage roll, a Cornish pasty or a cheese pasty. Group B with a cold meat sandwich, which can be beef, pork or ham. A preserved meat sandwich, a salmon sandwich or a cheese sandwich with sauce. And now there are other options for this, and it's laid out in a little bit more detail down below. Cold meat, preserved meat, tinned salmon and lettuce, cheese and sauce, minced meat roll, beef dripping and bovril, or cooked sausage and minced liver, or finally meat, game or fish pastes. There are also other options which we'll talk about a little bit later on in the video from another list. We have Group C, which is slab cake, cakes assorted, apple or jam turnover or scones. From Group D, we have various other items, apples, plums, lettuce, tomatoes when in season, cold pork or beef, sausage, potato crisps, biscuits or chewing gum. So quite a variety of different things there. A ration to cover 1 meal, which is the first thing we're going to have a look at, should include 1 item from each of groups A, B and C. And then a ration to cover more than 1 meal should include 1 item from each of groups A, C and D, and in addition 2 whole rounds of sandwiches, both alike or varied, selected from the variety already specified. And then it specifies the sandwiches will be spread with butter or margarine on both pieces of bread, which should not be cut thick. Thin slices are essential if the sandwich is to remain appetizing. And as I say, I've typed this up from the original instructions for clarity's sake. So here we have the ration made up for 1 meal, and this would obviously be issued if the men were going out for 1 day and only needed their lunch, for example, or were in transit and only needed to carry food with them for the journey. And this is drawn from 3 of the 4 groups, A, B and C. From Group A here we have a sausage roll, by way of example, from the Group A components, contents. From Group B we have a sandwich here, and this is not actually made specifically to the sandwich with fillings and so forth already listed in Group B. This is made according to a separate list of sandwich fillings. This is made with fish paste and lettuce, but we will talk about that in a little bit more in just a minute. I'll run through some of the other sandwich fillings which were used at the time and where they've come from. And then we have here from Group C Scones. These are obviously it says one item from each group, but the list does say scones plural. I've put two current scones there, as you can see. These items all come from my local supermarket, Morrison's. Scones are easy to make. You could have made them yourselves, but obviously we just didn't have time to do that. The cake we'll see in a minute or two, spoilers, is homemade. Ginsters, sausage roll, but again, you can make those yourself. All the contents here you could make yourself if you wish to. The sandwich is just Hovis brown bread, and then we have fish paste and lettuce, iceberg lettuce, chopped up in there. So yes, it's that's it. It's all stuff you can buy very, very easily, and you can make a meal like this that's accurate to the haversack ration of the time period. We'll talk a little bit more now about the sandwich fillings, the different sandwich fillings that you can use. Now, as I say, we have more sandwich fillings here, and this is issued by the catering branch of HQ Southeast Command. The document was available on a Facebook group, and I've typed up little extracts from it regarding each sandwich filling. And the first one, as you can see here, is a meat roll sandwich spread made of cooked potatoes, meat roll and leeks. Obviously the quantities given here are for feeding 100 men, actually, specifically is what's specified on the list. You will want to tailor this, easy enough to do if you want to make up just a small amount of each of these fillings for yourself and divide it down by 100, which obviously a little bit difficult to do perhaps in some instances to do it accurately, but visually making just enough spread to go in your own sandwich will not be too much of a problem. Corned beef sandwich spread can be made from corned beef, cooked potatoes and leeks again, beetroot, carrots and salad dressing. We then have potato salad sandwich spread made of cooked potatoes, leeks and salad dressing, so basically leaving out the meat component and some of the other vegetables there. Vegetable salad sandwich spread, which can be made with cooked potatoes, leeks, beetroot, carrots, turnips or swedes, again with salad dressing. Rice and vegetable sandwich spread, cooked potatoes, leeks, beetroot, carrots, cooked rice and salad dressing again. And then we have mashed beans and meat sandwich spread, and this consists of meat roll, beans which are soaked and cooked in the usual manner, and then mashed when cold with salad dressing added to bind everything together again. Next we have cheese and carrot filling, and this is made up of grated cheese and grated carrots with pepper as a seasoning. And then we have cheese and watercress filling, which again grated cheese with watercress added and with pepper again to season. And then we have fish paste and lettuce filling, which is the one we've looked at, obviously just in the ration we've just looked at, fish paste and lettuce filling with added salt and vinegar as seasoning. And the final sandwich filling is a sausage and beetroot filling, and this is made up with sausages which are sliced up, and then beetroot which is cooked and soaked in vinegar. Okay, so here we have the ration made up to cover more than one meal, and this requires items from groups A, C and D, and in addition to that 2 whole rounds of sandwiches, so basically 2 sandwiches taken from group B. But first of all we'll look at the items from group A, C and D. From group A we have here, instead of the sausage roll, I've swapped that out just to show another example, we have here a cheese pasty, which is another thing that was specified on the list. And then from group C we have a slab of cake, and this is Madeira cake. This is home baked Madeira cake. Madeira would have been a popular choice because it lasts better than other sponge cakes. And then we have here 2 apples. Now it does again specify from group D, and this is the first time we've seen items from group D. 1 item from each group, but apples plural, so I've put 2 small Braben apples in there. And then we have, obviously going back to group B, for the 2 whole rounds of sandwiches. These can be alike or different based on the various fillings that were presented. So going back to the list of fillings which we talked about separately, the one drafted by Southeast Command for haversack rations, we have here grated cheese and carrot filling, as you can see there. And then we have the fish paste and lettuce at the back there, making up the 2 whole rounds of sandwiches. So there we have the ration made up for more than one meal as specified, with the extra items included. So an extra round of sandwiches, and then obviously the apples representing an item from group D, which wasn't included in the previous ration. So just obviously expanded there to provide enough food for another meal. So there we are. That's a look at the British haversack ration, as I say, as a subset of the home service ration scale, which was introduced around May 1940 and went out of use basically at the end of the war. it's quite a useful thing to have. It's very easy to reproduce. Obviously, it's essentially sandwiches, pastries, and bits of fruit, packet of crisps, that sort of thing. Although, if you were going for a packet of crisps, that might be a little difficult, finding something that had suitable packaging if you wanted to reproduce it in an accurate manner. But it's something you could easily reproduce. It's ideal for troops in transit. So things like railway events, for example, where perhaps you're representing troops in transit, it's an ideal thing to have in your haversack there, because you can have a very appetizing lunch, which is nevertheless in keeping with what would have been issued at the time. So it's quite a good way of adding to the authenticity from a reenacting point of view. And obviously from a historical point of view, I thought it would be interesting to have a look through. Thank you very much again to Ramsey. Ramsey's been very generous with his research, and obviously that's allowed me to make this video as well. So I do hope you found it interesting, as I always say. If you have and you'd like to see more from the channel, please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. And obviously, if you're already subscribed or you're newly subscribing, do make sure you hit the little notification button down below, and that will alert you when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you'd like to support the channel, you can. There's both a Patreon page and PayPal link down below. Thank you very much to everyone who supports the channel using those two methods. It's greatly appreciated, as I always say, and that genuinely is the case. It's very gratifying, so thank you very much for that. There is also social media for the channel as well. There's Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, all linked down below should you wish to follow the channel over there. And I generally post up some photographs and things over there of items from the collection and so forth, and chat to people and so forth. You can contact me through Messenger on there as well. If you don't really use social media and you want to make contact, there is of course an email address down below as well for the channel. Don't hesitate to contact me there if you wish to. But that's everything I wanted to cover in the video, I think. So until next time, bye for now.